Hello, my name's Mel, welcome to my world, and for those of you that are new to my channel, I'm currently turning this Mercedes Sprinter into an off-grid, go anywhere, sleep anywhere, kind of stealthy camper van. Now since I made my last video, I've been sick as a dog, so I haven't really made much progress. But whilst I made that video, I did mention that I'd fitted my heater, and a lot of people have asked me to show you how I fitted my cheap Chinese diesel heater from eBay. I think that's right. So yeah, so basically I've got a cheap knockoff diesel heater off of eBay and I've fitted it in this van, and people have asked me to show them how I fitted it. Now this is not a tutorial video, I'm not going to show you how to fit a diesel heater, I'm simply going to show you how I fitted my diesel heater, nighttime heater, into this van. Now I do fit diesel heaters a little bit unconventional, a little bit strange, a little bit weird to what most people do, but then hey, that's just me, right? So I like to fit the heater in such a way that I can actually remove it from the van simply without too much stress, and everything is inside the van, nothing is underneath except the exhaust. But we'll go into that in more detail once we get in the van. So let's do that now. Let's jump in the van and I'll show you exactly how I fitted my heater in the van, and we'll start with the fuel tank. So let's talk fuel tank, shall we? Now this is the fuel tank that comes with the diesel heater. It came in the box, it came as a kit. Now these come in various shapes and sizes, and as you can see they're made to bolt to the side of the van. Now these are all very well and good. Show you what's inside it if I can get it out. I should have took this out before I started filming, sorry about this. So the diesel heater tank that comes with it, this is for the diesel obviously. These come with a little plug. Now this plug goes on the bottom of the tank, either there or there. It's up to you where you put it. There's no hole, there's just these thicker wall sections for you to drill a hole and put these in, which are all very well and good. Works a bit like a motorbike fuel tank, except for one thing: there's no way of turning the fuel off. There's no tap to turn the fuel off, and for that reason I don't like using these tanks, because if there is a problem on the fuel line, if there is a leak, or if you need to change your fuel pump, for instance, if you have to disconnect the fuel line, if you've got a tank full of fuel, that fuel is going to come out everywhere. And the only way to stop that is to either empty your tank somehow, or use a crimping tool. You can buy these pipe crimpers, they kind of clamp onto the pipe and squeeze it. But even then, I don't like using them. I simply don't like using them because there's no way of controlling the fuel. Whereas, if you use one of these modified fuel tanks that I buy on eBay, and I've been using this company for quite a few years, I will put a link in the description of this video where you can buy these tanks. They now come, due to my pressurising the company, with a vented lid. So the lid is vented as well, so that as the fuel goes down in the tank, air can get drawn in, so there's no vacuum, there's no build up of vacuum. And this is a one-way valve as well, this lid, so air can only go in, air can't come out, and for that reason you don't get the smell of diesel in your van either. And that's the last thing you want, is diesel smelling in your van. Let's take that lid off so you can see more. So if I bring the camera around a bit more, you can see I simply use a standpipe. I make this hole, I put a standpipe in there, and the fuel is then sucked up from the bottom down the fuel line. I'll bring you a little bit closer, I'll do a nice close-up shot so you can see inside the tank and see exactly what's going on. I'll bring you close and you can look inside for yourself. There you go. It's quite simple. There's the pipe there, and that then runs down to my diesel heater. So let's take a look at the diesel heater. All these parts, I will put a link in the description, like I say, for this tank and this standpipe. This pipe, I think I got it from China, it was like a £5, and the actual tank itself is about another 30 quid. So it does work out quite dear, but it's just so much better. Right, so let's have a look at the diesel heater and I'll show you how I fitted that. And again, everything is internal, and I'll go over the reasons for that as well. So for those of you that are interested on how I fitted my heater, pay attention, here it comes. Now, like I said earlier, it is a little bit unconventional. I don't recommend anyone do this or copy this, but if you do want to do that, then you do so at your own risk. It is unconventional the way I fit these, and the reason I fit it like this is because these are cheap. They're cheap eBay knockoffs. They come from China. They're made by the thousands, and so far, touch wood, I've not really had any dramas with them. They do tend to soot up sometimes if you run them really low on a low temperature, which is pretty unavoidable in such a small space. So for that reason, I like to mount them in such a way that I can take them out without having to get out and underneath the van. I can do everything inside, because you can bet your bottom dollar that when this packs up, it's going to be raining or it's going to be snowing outside. I mean, it's going to pack up when you need it the most. You just know it is. So for that reason, I like to be able to take this out, take it apart, service it, whatever, without having to get underneath the van. Also, these fuel lines aren't the best quality, and this rubber does tend to split. This rubber here, I've seen these like not even a couple of months old, and the rubber starts to split and deteriorate really quickly. So even my pump is inside as well. It's just the way I like to do things. I like to keep things simple. It's not too safe, I don't think, because if the exhaust gas does leak, there is a chance, there is a very, very slight chance of exhaust gases coming into the van, because part of the exhaust is inside the van. But I'll put you down lower and I'll show you a little safety measure that I have in place in the unlikely event that any exhaust should leak from this unit. Well, it's my theory anyway, right? This is all theoretically, because so far I've never had any problems. Okay. She's come to have a little look, see what I've been up to. Oh, don't show people, you bum. Why do cats do that? Very nice. So, down. Let's have a look at cat's level. There's the exhaust pipe, and it goes straight through the floor, and that is the only hole in the floor of this van. There you go, it's a tiny little hole. Rather than making a great big hole where all the pipes and everything go through, this is what I prefer to do. I prefer to have just one little hole, and if I want to move this heater for any reason, if I want to take this from here and move it somewhere else in the van, I can, and it's only going to leave that tiny little hole in the floor. Now you may notice the air intake, this pipe here, this big one here, this is the air intake for the heater. Air is drawn up through here, goes into combustion chamber, mixed with fuel, and boom, there's your heat. Now a lot of people say you need a filter on this, and these heaters do come with a filter, but remember again, the air filter goes outside the van, and because it's inside the van, I don't think I really need it. I don't need to fit an air filter on this. And then they're not really an air filter anyway, they're more of a bug screen. They're to stop bugs going in to your combustion chamber. And besides, if this exhaust does leak, if that Jubilee clip was to come loose for any reason, very unlikely as it is, any exhaust gases come leaking out of there, they'll get sucked back up through there into the combustion chamber and burnt and recycled, and then go out the van. So I'll have a continual cycle of unburnt gases. If that's the case, in worst case scenario, it will hopefully I mean, probably debatable, but it'll stop any exhaust fumes coming into the van. Remember, this is going to be boxed off. My next job today is to box this off, just the bottom part, put some kind of fence around here just to stop any stray socks or anything going up against my exhaust. Also today I shall fix the fuel line as well. Now I've got some P-clips for that, they've just turned up. So yeah, that's my job for today, box this off and sort out the fuel line, I fix that a bit more secure. So that's what it looks like under the van, and I've said this before, the reason I do that is so that I can easily access this heater. I can take it out as and when I need to. If ever that did go wrong, if this heater was to break down, all I've got to do is undo that one Jubilee clip, that cable connector here, this connector, I can unplug it, undo that clip, and I can take this whole thing out. Bearing in mind I need to disconnect the fuel line as well. and because of my fuel tank, disconnecting that fuel line isn't going to mean I'm going to spill fuel everywhere. Sure, I'll get some fuel leak out, but it shouldn't be as bad as it would be if the fuel tank was the conventional one. So I'll give you a little bit of a close-up of that so you can see exactly what's going on under there. There you go, for those of you that are interested. And by the way, this is lined. This has got a aerosol can cut in half and slid down that hole to protect my floor insulation. Right, so let's have a look under the van and I'll show you the exhaust. It's quite basic really, it's just a flexi pipe. As you can see, it comes through the floor of the van there. I've treated all around it, but I will try and put some exhaust putty around there as well, just to seal that hole. It is quite a loose fit, so I'm going to try and put some exhaust putty around this just to seal it up. And it's just standard exhaust putty that you'd use on a car. Now it comes down and there's a silencer on the end. Now you'll notice the silencer is just under the middle of the van. A lot of people try and stick them out the side so the exhaust protrudes outside the van here, but I've left it like this purely for added stealthiness. And plus they are quite noisy, and if you have these sticking out the side of the van, it just amplifies the sound. But by keeping it under the van like this, it does try and make it a little bit more quieter. Now I know a lot of people are probably thinking, well, surely all the fumes are going to build up under the van if you have it like that. But hey, look what's right next to it. That's the end of my exhaust pipe from my engine. So I figure, if anything, the exhaust pipe coming from the engine is going to build up more fumes under this van than my little diesel heater. So if the manufacturer are happy to leave their exhaust under the van like that, then so am I. I'm happy to leave my diesel heater exhaust under the van. And it does make it a lot quieter by doing this, rather than having it sticking out the side. If you leave it under the van like this, it does make it a considerably lot quieter. And I've simply attached this using this self-tapping screw that came with the kit, and that just simply goes straight into the chassis rail there. You can see it looks a little bit wet. That's because once I drilled the hole, I put a load of grease around it to try and minimise any chance of rust. So I literally coated the screw in grease and then screwed it back in, just to try and stop it going rusty. The last thing we want is our chassis rail rotting out because I've put a diesel heater underneath there. Alright, well, it is really cold under here, so I'm going to jump in the van now and start the heater up and try and get warm again, because as you can probably hear, I've still got a bit of a cold. Right, let's get back inside. Now my fuel pump, you'll notice the fuel pump is just dangling here freely, and that's because if you bolt it to the side of your van, as we all know, all you're going to hear all night long is thud, 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 thud from the fuel pump. They do make a lot of noise, so all I do is use a cup holder, a couple of cable ties, and just let it hang there. And because it's hanging freely, it doesn't make as much noise as it would otherwise. Now some people may have noticed this big red cable. This red cable is attached to my battery, my engine battery, and at the other end of that cable is my voltage sensing relay. And in layman's terms, for those people that don't know, a voltage sensing relay simply works by sensing when the engine is running, and it charges my leisure battery. So my leisure battery will be charged all the time the engine is running. It's basically a cable going to your engine battery, and then the other end goes to your leisure battery. This little thin black cable is simply a negative wire that attaches to the body of the van. Really easy to fit, and there's hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to fit these, hence the reason I didn't make a video about it, because I just didn't want to add to that. They're really so simple to fit, they really are. Now the controller for this heater is quite simple. It's a really basic one, as you can see, and I'm going to put this up here somewhere, so it's next to my bed. Not quite sure where I'm going to put it, but to switch this heater on, it's quite simple. You just turn this, push that button, you see the light come on there, and that is it. The heater is now on. And as far as I can see, there's no thermostat, it's just this power control. It goes up and down. P, I think P stands for power, and the more I turn it up, the more heat comes out of the heater. It's quite simple really. Now I've just switched it on. Let's turn it, let's put it about 20 or 2.0. So I've switched it on. We should be out here. You should hear it kick in a minute, and what it'll do, it'll come on really powerful. It'll like go full blast, just to get it heated up, and once it's reached up to temperature, it'll calm down again. It's really going for it now. You can hear it's like a jet engine. It's getting faster and faster. But eventually it will calm down, it will slow down once it gets up to temperature, because inside the heater there's a glow plug. Just for those people that don't know, there's like a little plug that glows red hot, and the fuel is squirted at that, and it ignites the diesel and it gets hot, and once it's up to temperature, inside the heater there's like a grill, and once that grill starts glowing red hot, the glow plug switches off and it all calms down, and it just pulsates a flame at that grill to keep it glowing red hot, which keeps the flame burning, so it uses less power as well. It's not such a draw on the battery. Any minute now it'll start going down. I'll stop recording and I'll come back to you when it has. Now whilst it was coming up to temperature, I quickly knocked up this box just so you can see what I mean about a heat shield. So that's all it's going to be, just this simple little box around here, like I said, to stop any wayward socks or garments getting caught under there and melting against the heater, because we don't want that. But as you can see, it's calming down now, it's slowing down, the pump is slowing down, it's reached temperature, and yeah, it'll be nice and cosy in here within a matter of minutes. But that's on its lowest setting. Now to switch this off, I simply hold this middle button again, and you'll see that light go off on the left. See it starting to flash. Now that light is flashing, you'll hear it speed up again. The fan will speed up, and this is quite normal. It's to get rid of all the heat that's inside the heater, because at the moment it's red hot inside, and this outer casing is just plastic. So I think what it does, it goes for a cycle to cool down before it actually switches off. And for this reason, you must never ever just disconnect these heaters from the power. You know, don't ever just pull the fuse out to switch them off. They do take a time to wind down. But there you go, I've got two heaters in this van. I've got my diesel heater for the daytime and my nice toasty wood burner for in the evening. Now I should be really nice and cosy, so I've still got to finish a few things off. I've got these little P clips that have just come. I'm going to use these to attach my fuel line and make it all nice and secure. And of course I've still yet to fit my wood burner, and I know a lot of people are probably saying, why haven't you fitted your log burner yet, why isn't it fitted? Because I forgot to order a clamp for the flue. When the flue goes up here, I need a clamp to hold the flue to the wall, and in my excitement I forgot to order one, so I'm still waiting for that flue clamp to arrive. Well, once I get that, then I can start installing it. Now some people have said to me, I can use my log burner a lot more efficiently if I drill a hole in the bottom of my van and draw air in through a pipe into the bottom of the wood burner, and then that way the wood burner will be drawing in fresh air from outside rather than causing a draft inside the van. Well, the thing is, I've got a roof vent going up above my bed, which is permanently vented. I'm also going to have some windows eventually in each side of the van, which will be openable. Openable, that's not a word, is it? Anyway, the point is, I want my wood burner to draw in fresh air from outside, particularly in the roof vent above my bed, because I like that feeling of fresh air coming down, especially over my face. You know, when you're asleep and you get that nice fresh draft cold air feeling. I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. I like it. I want that. I want that air to be drawn into my van, so I've got a constant supply of fresh, clean air coming into the van. Hopefully with no smoke from the flue. Yeah, that could be a problem if the wind's blowing the wrong way, but I'll deal with that when it happens. I mean, like I say, I'm going to have windows each side that can open anyway. So, so for that reason, I'm not going to have the wood burner drawing in air from outside from underneath the van. I mean, these wood burners were designed to go on boats anyway, so they're not really designed to draw air from underneath. I know some wood burners do, and a lot of people talk about heating efficiency. You know, it'd be more efficient if I had it set up that way. Well, this is such a tiny space. I don't think we really need to worry about heating efficiently. This is going to be more than adequate to heat this such a small space. And so is this diesel heater. From experience, these things are way too powerful for these small spaces anyway. So I want that fresh air being drawn into the van. And people will also commented in the past, on past videos that I've shown how I fitted these diesel heaters. People have said to me, oh, the fresh air intake should be outside. You should be drawing in fresh air from outside and burning it. You're going to suck all the oxygen out of your van by having the air intake inside the van. And that's simply not the case, because I will have windows open. I do sleep with a window open. Even when I sleep in the house, I have a window open. I like that fresh air feeling. If it makes sense. So yeah, please don't worry about heating efficiency in such a small space as this. It really isn't a problem. Sure, if you're in a house or an apartment, then heating efficiency is a real issue, it's a real thing. But in such a small space like this, it really isn't something you should worry about. These are more than efficient at heating such a tiny space as my Mercedes Sprinter. So that hopefully that clears up some of those questions and some of those comments. So if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, because by subscribing to my channel you'll help me feed a cat, and I've got two and they're both hungry, and you'll help the local wildlife as well. The more fed they are, the less mice they tend to catch. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.